Hello and welcome to another JFrog tutorial. The focus of this topic is installation and setup of Artifactory. Designing a solution for supporting your team's development pipeline includes tending to your performance requirements. Planning for these requirements will help you prepare for Artifactory installation and configuration. In this tutorial, we'll be describing the requirements for installing Artifactory, executing the installation, and configuring the network. Installing Artifactory involves meeting minimum system requirements for the operational framework, network capacity, and hardware. The first requirement is Java 11. You'll need to point the Java home to the Java installation. You can do this using the Artifactory default file if other versions of Java exist on the same server. The best practice for installation is to assign Artifactory as the only business service hosted on the server. The second requirement is a heap size of at least 512 megabytes. Artifactory uses heap to process memory functions, such as calculating checksums, simultaneous requests, metadata deployment, and garbage collection functions. Small and medium-sized setups should operate with at least 2 gigabytes of heap size. Large setups require at least 4 gigabytes or more. Larger heap sizes are associated with increased system performance. The physical RAM should be at least twice the heap size for smaller heaps, but larger RAM sizes can operate on less than twice the heaps. While heap memory is important, another consideration is the network interface card that can cause system impedance. Generally, heap sizes between 8 and 16 gigs will probably max out a 1 gig NIC. Heap sizes up to 128 gigs become I/O bound to a 10 gig NIC. Artifactory supports both HTTP and HTTPS protocols for networking. We don't recommend Tomcat built-in SSL unless you terminate the SSL outside of Artifactory. You can do this using a reverse proxy, such as Apache HTTP Server, HA Proxy, or Nginx. If you use Apache, just use the plain HTTP connector between Apache and Tomcat instead of the AJP connector. For database planning, allocations depend on artifact size and use case. You can estimate that about 20,000 artifacts will fill a gig of space. In most cases, you could start with 100 gigs and be set for a while. In medium to large organizations, a few years of heavy use can reach 2 to 4 terabytes in storage. If this could be you, starting with something closer to a terabyte of space is a safer bet. This table lists summarized hardware requirements based on the usage. Estimates listed here assume a 5-to-1 ratio between the number of developers and the number of running build agents. For example, we assume 20 developers are running 4 build agents. These recommendations are generalized for a standard setup. For custom configurations, please contact the JFrog Solution Engineer team. With all the hardware and supporting software in place, you're ready for installation. For installation, both on-prem and cloud version distribution types are available. We provide RPM, Debian, Simple Zip Archive, a Docker container, or a Helm chart for Kubernetes. Use the option that's familiar to you. The zip install is the most flexible. It runs in any circumstance, but it's more difficult to upgrade than other options. Once a new Artifactory instance is established, you can configure settings with the onboarding wizard. The wizard walks you through the steps for configuring the license key, administration credentials, proxy configuration, and initial repositories. You can skip the manual process if you have a predefined configuration file. This file responds to the onboarding wizard for a silent installation. The configuration file only runs once on initial setup. After installation, you have a few network settings to configure. The first step is to establish the server network identity. The server name you set appears on the top of every page in the Artifactory UI. In a cluster environment, the name is used as a unique instance identifier. The configuration UI includes a field for base URL. When all layers of the network stack are correctly configured, this setting is redundant. The reason we include it is that it mitigates common misconfigurations. Having a base URL prevents it from being improperly configured to another URL, such as inbound connections your team uses. The next step is to define outbound proxies if they're a part of your network topology. Some organizations channel through a proxy to access remote users. Artifactory supports several network proxies, including NTLM version 2. You may also want to set up a reverse proxy, such as Nginx or Apache. You may not need one, but a reverse proxy is a better solution over Tomcat for Docker or SSL configurations at scale. To simplify reverse proxy configuration, Artifactory provides a reverse proxy configuration generator. The form provides entry fields to generate the required snippet. You then download and install the snippet directly into the directory of the reverse proxy server you want configured. You can then use the REST API to manage reverse proxy configuration. Once your network is all set up, you'll want to set your notification preferences. Artifactory can notify admins and other specified users when a significant system event occurs. You might want to set watch notifications or be notified of certain backup warnings and error messages. To enable email notifications, you'll have to provide Artifactory with mail server configuration, email addresses, and credentials. In this tutorial, we outlined the requirements for installation, running the install, and configuring the network. Our online user manual offers more complete and up-to-date information, and our website offers links to additional support and resources, because we want your installation to be as smooth as possible. Thanks for learning with the JFrog Academy.